Alright, let's jump straight in. Number one, corpse medicine. What if I told you that for centuries, people believed the best medicine was a dead body? From ancient Rome to 18th century Europe, physicians, nobles, and even royalty consumed human remains in the name of health. This wasn't fringe behavior, it was mainstream. Blood, fat, bones, even powdered skulls were turned into tonics, oils, and pills. They called it mumia, derived from the Persian word for bitumen, since many of these remedies were made from ground up Egyptian mummies. Need a boost of vitality? Drink warm human blood fresh from an execution? Have epilepsy? Try a tincture made from crushed skull. Headache? Rub a dead man's fat on your temples. And yes, people paid a lot for this stuff. Ironically, some of these treatments did have effects. Not from spiritual power, just from iron calcium and good old fashioned placebo. But imagine knowing your medicine cabinet once held a literal rib cage. Would you still take it? If it worked. Number two, tobacco smoke enemas. Imagine drowning. And someone saves your life by blowing tobacco smoke directly into your. Yeah, that was once a standard medical procedure. In the 1700s, they used it to treat all sorts of things: cholera, colds, hernias, even apparent death, especially drownings. The Royal Humane Society in London placed resuscitation kits, including smoke enema tools along the River Thames, just in case you pulled a soggy Victorian out of the water and felt the urge to light them up. What's wild is that the idea wasn't totally irrational. Nicotine is a stimulant. It raises blood pressure, quickens the heart, and could in theory jolt someone back to consciousness. But the delivery method, pure 18th century nightmare fuel. But it raises an interesting point. If you were dying, and the only option was a bellows and a pipe, would you want someone to try? Number three, radioactive water. In the early 20th century, people thought radiation was good for you. Not metaphorically, literally. Wealthy socialites drank radium infused water. Radium spas promised vitality. Even toothpaste and facial creams were laced with glowing isotopes because radiance equals sign. Health, right. One of the most famous examples was Radithor, a bottled elixir of distilled water and radium salts, marketed as an energy drink for the elite. It sold well, until a socialite named Eben Byers drank over 1,000 bottles and his jaw fell off. He died of radiation poisoning in 1932. That was when public opinion finally shifted. Why did people do this? Because science was new, exciting, and terrifying. And when you don't fully understand something, it's easy to believe it can do anything. So, if science promised you eternal energy but at a hidden cost, would you drink the glowing bottle? Number four, trepanation. Imagine having the worst migraine of your life. Now imagine someone offering to help by drilling a hole in your skull. No anesthesia, no antibiotics, just a sharp tool, and an ancient belief that it'll let the bad stuff out. Welcome to trepanation, one of the oldest surgical procedures in human history. Archaeologists have found skulls with holes bored into them dating back 7,000 years, and many of those skulls show signs of healing. That means the patient survived. Why did they do it? To treat seizures, head trauma, mental illness, or even just to release spirits trapped in the brain. So, if you believe there was more awareness on the other side of a drill, would you take the hole? Number five, mercury as medicine. Mercury, that silvery liquid you are absolutely not supposed to touch in fourth grade science class. At one point, it was the go-to cure for almost everything: syphilis, constipation, tuberculosis, parasitic worms, just name a disease. And mercury was probably thrown at it, literally. Doctors would prescribe mercury pills, ointments, even vapor baths. The idea was to purge the body of bad humors, and mercury, being violently toxic, definitely did something. Even Isaac Newton, brilliant as he was, suffered a breakdown likely caused by mercury exposure from his alchemical experiments. Genius meets toxicity. And it wasn't until the 20th century that doctors realized, hey, maybe slowly melting people's organs isn't the best path to wellness. Still, it makes you wonder how many of today's treatments will feel insane in 100 years. Would you still take the pill if it worked, even knowing what was in it? Number six, help my baby ovens in my lungs. Some ancient Greek physicians believed that a woman's baby oven wasn't fixed in place. Instead, They thought it could roam freely inside the body, spreading chaos like a tiny misguided tourist. Feeling dizzy? The baby oven is in your head. Trouble breathing? It's in your chest. Hysterical crying? Clearly, the baby oven has drifted too far north again. This theory was known as the wandering womb, or let's say the nomadic baby oven. To treat this wayward appliance, doctors tried some truly bizarre tactics, like fumigating the lower body with pleasant scents to coax the baby oven back into position, or using bad smells near the nose to scare it away from the lungs. It was less medicine, more baby oven hurting. So, if your doctor diagnosed you with something they didn't understand, would you really trust the treatment? Number 7. Cannibal Cures. Imagine walking into a pharmacy and being prescribed a piece of human flesh, not as a metaphor, as a literal remedy. In 16th and 17th century Europe, medicinal cannibalism was not only real, it was popular. Executioners' blood was prized for epilepsy. Mummy powder scraped from ancient tombs was ground into tonics for bruises and broken bones. Even moss that grew on skulls, the so-called moss of the grave, was collected and sold as medicine. This practice was driven by two beliefs: that the human body contained powerful life force, and that cures like. So a violent death, that meant potent energy. You were drinking in someone's life to extend your own. Which begs the question, if you were dying and science told you this would save you, could you swallow it? Number 8. Burning fevers for a cure. Imagine having late-stage syphilis, your mind unraveling, your body wasting, and your doctor says, "Good news, we're going to set you on fire." Not literally, but close. In the early 1900s, before antibiotics, doctors discovered that inducing high fevers could actually kill syphilis bacteria. So they infected patients with malaria on purpose. Why? Because malaria causes intense repeated fevers, and those fevers were hot enough to weaken or destroy the syphilis infection. This method saved lives, but it came at a cost. The risk of death by malaria was real, but when the alternative was a slow, painful neurological collapse, it was a risk some were willing to take. So, what would you choose? A slow end, or a fire that might cleanse you? Number 9. Golden touch miracles, not medicine. If you were sick in 17th century England, your doctor might recommend an audience with the king. Not for a prescription, just for a touch. This was called the royal touch, and it was believed that monarchs could cure diseases, especially scrofula, a form of tuberculosis, simply by laying hands on the afflicted. Thousands of people lined up for it. Entire ceremonies were held complete with prayers, golden coins, and divine fanfare. Where did this idea come from? Divine right. If the king ruled by God's will, then surely his hands carried holy healing. Forget antibiotics. Just shake a royal palm and be reborn. So, here's the question. If someone told you their touch could heal you, no science, no logic, just faith, would you hold out your hand? That's a wrap for today. More videos like this coming soon, so hit that follow button.